Hey Cherise, nice job so far. So I can see you're creating a little environment here for these spheres to exist in. One way that'll make them it look like it have more depth is if you put this big one here since it's in the foreground, and you don't have to have them all in the middle. You can have it even coming off the edge, and then if you put the smaller ones kind of in order going, like they're going into the background. Kind of something like what's in this example here. You can kind of see that. And you might want to use a gradient, something like this as well. If you haven't already, these Photoshop tutorials, actually there's the gradient, here it is, the gradient tool. They're all really good and pretty short. This one will show you how to create that gradient that's in that example. So you might want to try something like that. It'll it'll make your piece a lot stronger, but it will also give you some really good tools. Where did it go? Just a second. Oh, and I wanted to show this picture too. When it comes to texture, see how the texture also gets smaller as it goes into the background. That's also something that's important to keep in mind when you're doing doing design work. I just can't find your picture here. So I was just going to show you how to do that perspective transformation. So I'm just going to take a piece of of your texture here, and I'm going to use this top one since it's bigger, and I'm just going to copy it and put it on a new layer here. And again, then for this one, you just, you go up under, excuse me, in the edit menu. I think this is also in those tutorials, but if you go in the edit pull down, which you can't see here, you probably can't see anything. There's the new layer. And if you go to the pull down edit menu and you say transform perspective, you're going to get this. So again, if you want, you can pull it and see how that looks. It looks more realistic. Let me make it a little bit bigger. It looks more realistic because, this texture smaller in the background. So that's something you might want to consider for the back walls and the floor as well. So, you can pull it any direction, right? You don't have to do it the one. You can make it go like this. And you can just see how it has a lot more depth. And you can do, just experiment with it. But again, this will this will give your piece a lot more, realism and depth. So let's see here. So if you do something like that, and then this was, you put it again. This is real quick and dirty. You would definitely spend more time on this. So, but you can see then if this was over here, it would just, and I'm going to transform it now just to make it bigger. It's, and then I'm going to rotate it. So if you had something like this, over on this side and also in the foreground, this needs to come down too. It would, it would look a lot more realistic. Let me just do Control Z this. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to get it, and you can drag the sliders anywhere. So again, I hate how it doesn't let me turn it off while this thing's on. Again, you can kind of see it like that. So if you do something like that, even with the foreground and background, it'll look a lot more realistic. Another thing you can do too to create realism is just make sure that you use a consistent light source. So you've got the light coming in this direction. So, there's a lot of ways you can make this back wall slightly darker. There's so many ways to do that. I always suggest dividing up every little bit and put it on a new layer. So I'm just going to take this one piece here and I'm going to select it because, again, if I had your original file, you probably already have it in layers. So I'm just going to copy this and put it on another layer above here. So there it is. So then what you can do too is then you can just make it a little bit darker. So again, you can go up into, you can go into levels or brightness and contrast. And again, now I'm going to clip it. It's going to affect the whole thing. But again, it's going to be a little bit darker. And I'll show you what the layers look like. So whenever you use an adjustment, see it right here, you can just turn it on and off so it doesn't hurt your thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and just say create clipping mask, and it's going to clip it just to that one layer. So again, you can see here now, this is too dark, right? But you can see that it's just clipped to that one layer. So again, I could still play with the sliders and make it a little bit lighter because it's a little bit too dark. But again, if you do that with the lighting, it's going to just look a little bit more realistic. So anyway, I hope this helps, and yeah, good progress. Yeah, I would just go back and watch the gradient video to get the gradient a little bit more realistic, and then just place them the way like a little bit differently. Okay, so anyway, good start.